And Catherine is here, our village clerk. Our village attorney, Greg Smith, is also here to make sure that we move through this JRP process smoothly. So I guess without further ado, we'll get started. Go ahead and call the roll, Catherine.
I'm sorry, I see Dr. Sam from ETC.
Yes. Here.
Thank you. Trish Glee from the
Dundee Township is here. Yes.
I see Dave Peterson from
Yep, I'm here.
Dundee Park District. East Dundee Fire District, who do we have?
Chief Parthen.
Chief Parthen. And we have someone via phone ending in 0481.
That's Mark Armstrong, but I'm from Kane County, so I'm just along for the ride on this one.
Okay, thank you. I believe that is everyone from the Joint Review Board present at this moment.
Okay, so we've called the roll. We need to make ask for a motion to appoint a public member. Isn't that correct?
Actually, this because this is an annual JRB meeting, we do not need to appoint a public member, and the chair remains the village's appointee per the prior meetings. So you could just move down to item E of the agenda at this point.
Okay. We'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes dated June 3rd, 2019.
Dundee Township approves.
Second, Elgin Community College.
Okay. Greg, do I need to take a roll of all names, or can I do a anonymous?
Yes, under the amended Open Meetings Act, all votes have to be by roll call when you're using the virtual setting.
Okay, I got it. Dave Peterson?
I'll abstain. I was not there last year.
Okay. Trish Glee?
Aye.
Mark Armstrong?
Mr. Armstrong is not
Sorry,
called on
I
this
was
one.
muted, but I'm not on the Cook County board.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we have no one here from Cook County right now at this meeting.
That's correct.
Are we able to move forward with approving the minutes?
Yes, that's correct. The JRB does not have a quorum requirement, so it's just a majority of those who are present needed for the motion to pass.
Okay. Chief Partham?
Yes.
And Dr. Sam?
Yes.
Greg, am I also supposed to vote on the minutes?
Yes, as the village's representative, you are.
I'm sorry. Administrator Johnson?
Aye. Okay, so we'll move into the annual report. So the Cook County one is relatively simple. We do have the separate JRB for the purpose of the Cook County member. In your packet of information that was sent to you, there is a memorandum from myself and the finance director, Brandis Martin, where we've highlighted certain aspects of each TIF district. So that's the memo I'm going to refer to as we move through each of the TIFs. And the first one being the Cook County. So I just want to hit the highlights for you. The TIF increment for the year that we're reporting, which is ending April 30th, 2019, was $453,787. We have a budget that is going to be 450, which is on our current approved budget. There are two projects within the Cook County TIF. One of them is a larger project involving insurance auto auction. That's the primary TIF project that was incentivized under the TIF, and it created nearly all of the revenue generated in the Cook County TIF was this project for the benefit of this insurance auto auction, the development of this site. We also have a very small project. You'll see a BNCA Prairie easement project, which is a small easement reimbursement to Prairie Material, who was the landowner of the time of another parcel within Cook County that's next to insurance auto auction. What we're focusing on, our area of focus for this TIF, is south of insurance auto auction. There is a large site, and we have been working with the owners. It was recently transferred and is under new ownership. They are looking at using the property as is, filling it, and then possibly redeveloping that site. So we've been in discussions with them for at least 9 months. It's in the early, very, very early stages of the project, because this is something they would be looking at developing after the filling has been completed on the site. It is a quarry site that has recently taken on fill material. And so there is work to do prior to it being a developable site, which could result in years before that's a possibility. So that sums up the Cook County TIF. I don't know if any questions from anybody about Cook County TIF. Okay, then that concludes my report of the Cook County TIF. Are there any public comments from anybody in attendance? Any members of the public? Okay, then I will ask for a motion to adjourn the Cook County JRB meeting.
So moved.
Dundee Township seconds.
Dave Peterson,
Yes.
Trish Gleason,
Aye.
Mark Armstrong,
Again, not voting because this is in Cook County and not in Kane County. Therefore, I don't have any role in this TIF.
okay, Jason Parson,
Yes.
Dr. Sam,
Yes.
Administrator Johnson.
Yes. Okay, that concludes that meeting. We are past 3:35. So we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order the annual joint review board meeting for the following redevelopment project areas: Prairie Lakes, Dundee Crossings, which is Route 72 and Route 25 TIF, Downtown, Christina Drive, Route 68 West, South Illinois, Route 25, and Penny Avenue. Catherine, can you call the roll, please?
Dr. Sam,
Here.
Trish Gleason,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Yes.
Jason Parson,
Here.
and we have Mark Armstrong.
Here.
There is Jesse Henning, who's joined. Is that someone here with the joint review board? Jesse Henning? Oh, Barrington Area
Barrington area.
Library. Okay, thank you. And Administrator Johnson.
Here. Okay, thank you. So we'll move right along to the approval of the JRB meeting minutes dated June 3rd, 2019. Can I get a motion for that?
Dundee Township motions.
East Dundee Fire seconds.
Dr. Sam,
Yes.
Trish Glees,
Yes.
Dave Peterson,
Yes.
Jason Parson,
Yes.
Mark Armstrong,
Yes.
Administrator Johnson.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Catherine. Okay, I'm going to refer back to the memo dated June 24th, 2020, to walk through the remainder of the TIFs, and I will do it in the order that is appears in the memo and is also on the agenda. And please feel free, I want this to be an open dialogue, so just stop me. I talk a lot. If you have questions, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer them, but I also don't want to waste anybody's time. So I'll try to hit the highlights for you. As most of you know, Prairie Lakes is a TIF that was created for the development of an industrial site. Most, but not all of the properties within that site have been developed. And the project was incentivized at the time. It is currently earning about $1.2 million in TIF revenue. This revenue was used to back a bond for another TIF, which is the Route 25 TIF. And so the revenue has been absorbed into another TIF bond. That's what it is used for primarily. However, I am happy to report that we're working on the development of 2 additional lots within that 2 out of the 3 that are available. So it seems like there is still a market for industrial. So this is a good thing if we can get these redeveloped under the TIF, then we'll be able to earn additional increment during that time. This is one of our older TIFs, so it actually is going to roll off in the near future. You can see it was created in 2000, so being 23 years. We're looking to start turning this back over after 2023 tax year. And so that's going to be something that the taxing bodies can prepare for cash flow. So you can start putting those into your projections. That's a good thing. You know, there's no indication that we would ask or try in any way to extend this TIF. So it's done what it has to do. It's being used to support further development in the village, and we're proud of its success, but we're still moving forward to try to finish it out if possible. Any questions on the Prairie Lakes TIF? Okay, I will move along to the Route 72 and Route 25 TIF, which we typically call Dundee Crossings. That was created in 2006. It has a tax increment in the reporting year of $745,000. We are anticipating a budget of $1.1 million. So it's seen some recent growth in the last bit. Also, some properties are starting to become like reassessed, and so EAVs are going up. Something I failed to mention at the beginning of my report to you is that the village has seen a 47% EAV growth since the recession low in 2014. So I included that in the memo. And the reason I've included that is because TIF districts are usually under a lot of scrutiny, and I understand that. And I understand that they take taxes that would otherwise be distributed to the taxing bodies. But these TIFs in East Dundee are working. They're doing their job, and they're raising EAV at a rate that is greater than would otherwise be raised by the rate of inflation. So they are working, and they will result in a large EAV growth for a relatively small village. We know how small we are, but they will do what they are supposed to do, which is to raise the EAV, which will raise your revenues. So Dundee Crossing has seen some success. We've had a total of 10 projects. One of the large projects we have is the Terra Business Park that has, we've had a redevelopment agreement in place since 2007 for that, and we've made some alterations over the years, but you can see it's still developing. We did have some stalling with our project at Route 72 in Christina, but we have a speedway that's been constructed. We have an industrial facility that's been constructed, and there are more in the planning for that. So we've seen a lot of success in Terra Business. We've also constructed 36 units at 811 East Main in recent years, which is next to Summit School, as Supervisor Gleason knows. And we have executed a redevelopment agreement for the property next to it at 855 East Main. So that's directly behind the former Dominick's for another 36 units. So we have had success in developing some awkward infill sites as a result of this TIF.
Excuse me,
Very-
Jennifer.
Yes. Mhm.
I just want to ask you a question about the 855. Has IDOT, is there going to be another entrance? Has IDOT approved another entrance, and if so, where?
So they still have the permitting process, but the land was owned by Plody, and Plody had an easement to use the access through the River Valley Shopping Square.
Okay, so that's
so
the
the-
planned entrance.
That is correct.
Thank you.
That is correct. That's excellent question. So other areas of focus would be, you know, Supervisor Gleason knows that we still own 57% of Summit School. And we're trying to determine how best to use that, but it is challenging. We do have the River Valley Square Shopping Center, which has some tenants, but I just got off the phone with someone looking to fill one of those spaces. That is a very tricky development because the TIF was created at the time where the Dominick's was in the center. So it would take a lot to generate income in order to redevelop that site, but that's something we're working on. We just approved an annexation agreement to annex in 38 acres behind Walmart. It's going to be a Caterpillar dealership. So we're very excited about that. 26 acres of that will be Caterpillar, and another additional 12 acres is owned by Plody. I want to jump ahead, but I still will take questions on this TIF and tell you that we were hoping to put that into the Dundee Crossing TIF, and we were not able to because of the TIF eligibility standards and requirements set out in statute. So we are looking at creating a new TIF for that 38 acres, which would be just the two parcels, the Caterpillar dealership and also the Plody. Neither parcel would have a residential component whatsoever. It would be strictly the dealership and other industrial development that Plody would seek to acquire. Out of the benefits would be the fourth leg of the intersection of Route 72 and Christina Drive, where we are working on our signalization and intersection improvements through IDOT. As you may recall, we received a $2 million grant for those intersection improvements. So those are the more exciting things we have going on. In the Dundee Crossings TIF, I also want to let you know that it does fund some debt service in addition to project payments that are being made out. It does fund several debt service payments, and those are listed on your memo. Specifically, though, one of those would be JD Byrider. There was a loan and a grant that was made to JD Byrider that's being funded through that, an IEPA loan, and another one of the bonds from 2012, in addition to Pale Land Note. And what that is the Pale Land Note is just a process where, as the Terra Business Park is redeveloped, 90% of the TIF revenue that's generated from the site is returned to the developer. And that is the agreement that's been in place since 2007. I know that's a lot of information. This is a really large TIF for us that covers a lot of areas. Does anyone have any questions about this TIF? Okay, thank you. The next TIF is the downtown TIF that was started in 2008. We saw a revenue of 234,000 in the year reporting, and we're projecting a budget of 208. Part of the decrease in the revenue received was some of the properties by the county were placed in the wrong TIF. So this is not to say that the downtown TIF is now generating less income than in prior years. The EAVs are not going down, they are going up. Unfortunately, the downtown is one of those areas where, you know, it's really the heart of our community. So we've spent a lot of money there, but it takes a lot to earn increment because we're developing downtown buildings. We're not, you know, we're not constructing large manufacturing buildings with high taxes. So it takes a lot of effort to redevelop the downtown. We've also done work in the downtown with our TIF dollars that doesn't generate revenue at all, like burying electric lines, putting brick pavers and streetscapes, reconstructing roads, putting in a lift station. So things that we've done in order to make the downtown the great place it is, even though they did not necessarily generate revenue. So some of the revenue generated by the other TIFs was used in the downtown to use the downtown as really a mechanism to fuel the local economy throughout the village. And we've found great success with that. I mean, anyone who can remember East Dundee just 10 years ago, downtown East Dundee, would know the major transformation that is taking place. And we are actively pursuing that each and every day. We're not done. We have a commitment to keep going. So some of the projects, you can see there's 36 projects. So we have been busy. I'm happy to report that we have paid down many of these projects, and we're really at the tail end. And during some periods of time in the village's history, that was a real struggle to fulfill our obligations. Now our TIF deals are structured so that the developer will be rebated increment that is earned from a subject property. Before, we were comfortable with fronting money or granting money through facades programs, even though it was unclear how much revenue would be generated in the future. So the board has completely changed their philosophy on that, and that's been in place for the 4 years I've been here. So I anticipate that will continue. And the TIF, the downtown TIF then is in a position where it's actually recovering. There is some major debt service tied to the downtown TIF, and these are areas where really the TIFs are being subsidized by the general fund because there isn't enough revenue in the TIF districts to support the debt service. One of the major projects that bonds that's in the downtown TIF would be the police station. When Jason Partham, Chief Partham would know, we purchased the fire station from the fire district, converted it into a police station, and then we took bonds for that. So that's one of the projects, for example, that creates this burden on the downtown TIF, and then in turn is subsidized by the general fund. Some of the updates we have on the downtown TIF, we do have a restaurant coming, DC Cobb's. They do have a couple other locations, and they're going to be in the end unit at 311, Barrington, the one with the rooftop deck. So they're going to be taking up multiple units actually. They've just got their permit. So we're excited about that, and they are proceeding even during this recession, which they should be commended on that, sticking to their plan, and we're very excited about them. We did lose Migrate, which was a restaurant that took over the space originally, but DC Cobb's is replacing that space completely. We still have Black and Gray, and we have one more commercial unit available. All the residential units were filled immediately and have been filled. So we know that there's a market for residential in our downtown, and because people would like to live close to restaurants, and we're no different than any other downtown. One East Main, we tried very hard to develop One East Main. We got a lot of resistance from the community, which we heard. So we pulled back on that project, but we are happy to say that someone has purchased it. And they're proposing a second story addition and a facade improvement. And as of now, they have received no funding from the village whatsoever. So it's completely privately funded. But that is the first property coming into the downtown East Dundee from West Dundee as soon as you cross the river. So that's important to us. That's a big focal point, and we're excited that that's happening. Also in the downtown, we created a facade program funded by our BDD. We took the burden off of the TIF and put it on our BDD sales tax, and we gave a 50-50 facade grant to Alianos for their patio, which was a great use of an infill space between two downtown buildings. And I don't know if anyone's had a chance to eat there, but especially during this outdoor dining thing, you should try to get out and eat it on Aliano's patio. It was beautiful, and it really brought something different to our downtown. Another highlight is we're working on new branding for our village. We've put up new banners. We have a new logo. So as time allots, we're going to continue to find ways to brand the downtown. Our events were obviously suspended during the coronavirus, but we're going to kick them off again in 2021 and continue to bring traffic and businesses to our downtown. So we feel pretty good about what's been accomplished so far. We do have other areas of focus in the downtown. Parking is one. You know, there's always going to be a parking problem. The riverfront is another. We've attempted to apply for riverfront grants to plan how to better utilize our river. We have been unsuccessful so far. We're going to keep trying, but we do anticipate trying to bring in that walkability and use of our natural resources going forward. We have a bike path, we have a river, and we're going to keep finding ways to try to incorporate that into our downtown. So again, that's another huge TIF of ours. I've tried to summarize it, but I'd be happy to answer any questions on that. Okay, thank you. Moving on to Christina Drive. This is a lot simpler. This TIF is primarily the Pale Land development I already covered. So part of the Terra Business Park is in Dundee Crossings TIF. The other part is in Christina Drive. So this earned about 154. Now we're projecting about 342. That's because some of these projects have been completed and are on the tax rolls. So that's the reason for the increase, but it is primarily the same project. There is another landowner that's in Christina Drive TIF. There's a couple other landowners, and there is a project that was built without any TIF funding that we are seeing increment from as well on an adjacent site. But primarily, most of it was incentivized development through Terra Business Park. We are focusing on the north end by Penny Avenue and Route 68 intersection. We are trying to acquire an intersection improvement grant through IDOT, just as we've done on Christina Drive and Route 72. This would be an economic development program grant because, as I told you earlier, we're bringing in new industry in Prairie Lakes. And so we're trying to possibly acquire some funding for that intersection improvement because it is not a perpendicular intersection, and it's dangerous for truck traffic. So we're looking at ways we can improve that to develop the Christina Drive TIF even further. Does anybody have any questions about Christina Drive? Okay. We're in the home stretch here. Route 68 TIF is a small TIF we've had. We've only had 2 projects, and one of the projects that we're still making payments on would be a Tovar Snow. The other project we have completely paid off. Areas of focus that are left are really just the strip mall is a small TIF. So it's really just a strip mall that includes the pawn shop and Chums. Somebody did come in with a barber shop recently, but we still are looking for something more from that site. We're looking for a future redevelopment. So that's something we're always going to be working towards in that TIF. Other than that, that's the primary focus of that TIF, because the two major projects that initiated the TIF have been completed, and we're just finishing the payments to those. Does anybody have any questions on Route 68 West? Route 25 South TIF. This was a TIF that was created at the time of some annexation into the village, which included all the way down to Gat Guns. One of the bonds that Prairie Lakes is supporting is the Gat Guns bond, and that was a bond to when the property was annexed to expand the facility, and it has done that, and that's something we'll continue to pay on. We've also done other projects in there. We've had a total of 4 projects, but we are at the tail end of making payments outside of the Gat Guns bond. Really, there isn't much area of focus here, just rather to sustain the bond payment and get that paid off. And hopefully once it's paid off, it's a payback to the village and to the future EAV growth. Penny Avenue is our last TIF. This is a small TIF that was created a couple of years ago, only for 2 properties. One of the properties, 210 Penny, was in the Route 68 TIF, and we moved it into this TIF because at the time the Route 68 TIF was created, it was a small strip mall that had a high property value, and the property value has sunken dramatically, which has flipped the EAV upside down. So we pulled that property into this TIF. So there was one major project that was completed, which was 210 Penny. There are no real areas of focus outside of 210 Penny. 201 was the one that was completed, and it converted vacant medical and professional offices into residential. And it was 8 units total. So that's really all there is about Penny Avenue TIF. So are there any questions on Penny Avenue or any of the TIF districts or on the new TIF that we're talking about creating? This is an easy group. I've also probably put you to sleep, so sorry about that.
No, your presentation is very detailed, that's why.
Good, good. Thank you for that. Okay, well, that concludes my report. Are there any comments from the public? Any members from the public wish to comment? Okay, if there being none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved, Armstrong.
Dr. Sam, you want to second that?
Second,
Okay. Dr. Sam?
yes.
Trish Clee?
Yes.
Faith Peterson?
Yes.
Jason Parson?
Yes.
Mark Armstrong?
Yes.
And Jesse Henning? He says yes in the group chat. And Administrator Johnson?
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Nice job.
Bye, Jennifer. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you.
Thank you.